A deeper look at social anxiety. I knew I had social anxiety when I was worried about breathing too loud in front of people. In the world, countless studies and pieces of research have found that around 25% of the entire population will experience some form of mental health disorder in their lifetime. It doesn't matter whether it's stress, anxiety, depression, or anything else. All forms of mental health disorders must be taken seriously and must be properly understood if we wish to make changes. Social anxiety, for example, is surprisingly common and is probably a great deal more common than you realize. You may even know somebody that suffers from it without even realizing it. And next thing you know, it leads to another challenge such as health anxiety. If you wish to familiarize yourself with this awful affliction, you're in the right place. Here's a deeper look at social anxiety so you can understand what it is, why it is such an awful condition, and how it can be treated. What is social anxiety? Social anxiety is described as being a fear or even apprehension of being in social situations where interaction with other people may be required. Some people see this as a fear of being judged, ridiculed, or negatively evaluated by others. The condition is incredibly invasive to a person's life and can seemingly envelop them with no obvious signs of escape. Worst of all is the fact that it is seen as a chronic condition because it won't suddenly clear up and go away on its own like a common cold virus does. No. To help cure oneself of social anxiety, there's a lot that can and must be done. It isn't a choice. There are some ignorant people out there who believe social anxiety to be nothing more than a form of anti-socialism. It isn't, and can in fact lead to feelings of depersonalization. People do not choose to suffer with social anxiety, and it certainly isn't the same as being too tired to speak to others. Social anxiety is literally a feeling of despair and fear when placed in social situations beyond their control. You can't just get over social anxiety. Again, people can be very ignorant and pretty stupid, if we're being honest, when it comes to social anxiety. People have been known to make comments like, "get over it," or "get a grip on yourself," which have done the sufferer no favors whatsoever. You would never tell a person suffering with pneumonia to just get over it, so why should you say it to a person with social anxiety? The simple answer is that you shouldn't. It isn't the same as being a bit shy. People come in all shapes and sizes, and they have different personalities to match. Some people are extroverted and are great at speaking to others. Others are introverted and may be shy around people. Make no mistake about it, social anxiety is not the same as being shy. Shy people may struggle to talk to people they don't know at first. People suffering with social anxiety may feel terrified when placed in situations with people they don't know. As you can see, there is a big difference. It can be treated and eliminated. The good news is that social anxiety can be treated and cured in a variety of ways. Cognitive behavioral therapy is one such powerful way to reframe your thought patterns and replace any limiting avoidance behaviors. Neuro-linguistic programming is also a great way to target the core beliefs held in your subconscious mind and replace them quickly. Aside from these main ways, exercise, meditation, and any exercises that target the increase in your parasympathetic nervous system will limit the amount of fight or flight responses in your system and replace it with a feeling of rest and digest. 5 things people with social anxiety need to understand. I love this quote. Be proud of who you are. and not ashamed of how someone else sees you. Social anxiety refers to an intense fear of interaction with other people in certain types of settings, which makes the daily life a continuous uphill fight. Social anxiety does not necessarily always affect people who are shy. It can occur in both extroverts and introverts. Different kinds of social scenarios like shopping malls, big parties, and grocery stores, etc., can trigger social anxiety. As per Anxiety and Depression Association of America, about 15 million or 7% of the population in the US suffer from social anxiety. A lot of us do not know or understand what a person with social anxiety goes through on an everyday basis. And here are 5 things that people with social anxiety need you to understand. Number 1, they do not hate others. People with social anxiety do not hate people. In fact, it is just the opposite. They really want to be able to talk normally and freely with others. But the moment they try doing it, they may experience a variety of symptoms like increased heartbeats, chest constriction, excessive perspiration, etc. These sufferers may be a bit abrupt or distant when others talk with them, but it does not mean that they are or want to be rude. They enjoy talking to others, but are often under constant pressure of social anxiety. Number 2, social anxiety affects them both physically and mentally. Social anxiety is caused due to a mix of factors like past experiences, personality, genetics, diet, environment, brain chemicals, and on we go. It not only affects the ability of these sufferers to process different situations, but it also causes physical symptoms. Social anxiety can be like a heavy burden on the body and cause physical problems like cold sweats, headaches, insomnia, facial flushing, and muscle stiffness. Mental symptoms include fixation on specific events and obsession over minor matters or things. The mental or physical symptoms may not be visible to others, but it does not indicate that social anxiety does not exist and that the sufferers are not freaking out on the inside. The external calmness is not a reflection of their inner selves. People with this challenge have just attuned their mind and body to hide their anxiety in most cases, as that is what is required by a normal daily life. Number 3, social anxiety people need lots of time to prepare for social meetings. These people need several days to prepare for a social gathering. They usually need to prepare for the conversations that they may have, the people they may meet, their look and clothes for the meet, etc. The preparation is needed for them to remain calm and avoid anxiety triggers during the social event. Overcoming the fears and showing up for events by itself is a huge achievement for many sufferers. Number 4, sufferers do not want to experience social anxiety. These people do not choose to have this challenge and do not want to suffer from it. They try extremely hard to overcome it, but it never disappears for them completely, despite their very best efforts. Certain advice, such as stop being so dramatic, only makes them worse. People with social anxiety know that their fears are irrational, but it's not possible for them at the moment to just get over it and get on with their lives. If it were that simple, then no one in the world would suffer from social anxiety. Number 5, social anxiety is not a way to seek attention. Sufferers, like all the rest of us, need understanding and love and not pity and attention. This challenge is often a debilitating condition and not something conjured up by affected people to get additional attention. Social anxiety help. The 3 main causes revealed. Social anxiety has many varied causes, which include biological, psychological, and social. However, each one may be intertwined, which makes it hard to specify the exact cause. Although it's not yet known for sure if social anxiety is caused by a genetic disposition or something learned through family social conditioning, it does appear that it can run in the family. Let's look deeper into the three main causes of social anxiety and see if we can pinpoint the main cause for you. Social anxiety cause number one. The first group of causes includes social and environmental aspects. It's believed by the social anxiety help experts that it's possible to learn anxiety from the environment in which you are in. It has been suggested that simply watching and interacting with others with similar tendencies can be extremely influential. Also, it is possible that overprotective and controlling parents may help to develop social anxiety in their children and fail to recognize the anxiety disorder in them because they also suffer from it and consider it to be perfectly normal. Others think that people may develop social phobias based on a certain negative childhood event, including bullying, being embarrassed in public, and even teasing. Such indicators include disfigurement, abuse, neglect, speech impediments, or conflicts within the family. Social anxiety cause number two. The second group of causes of social anxiety is thought to be due to psychological or emotional trauma experienced during childhood. The subsequent symptoms may be the direct result of unresolved traumatic experiences such as car accidents, abuse, relationship decline, humiliation, or possibly even a natural disaster. The key elements that are common among all people looking for social anxiety help as a result of traumas include an event or experience that was not expected. The person was not prepared for it, and there was little, if anything, that the person could have done to have prevented it from occurring. However, such traumas can also run even deeper, including a poor bond between the major caregiver and the person during childhood. The person may not have learned skills needed to regulate calmness, self soothing, and focus during stressful events. Social anxiety cause number three. The third social anxiety cause is biological, including biochemical reactions, the structure of the brain, and the possibility of the disorder having been inherited genetically. In genetical inheritance, researchers believe that the main part of the disorder is born out of inhibited behavior. Young babies with such a disposition are quick to show stress and fear of unfamiliar situations and circumstances around people, especially. As they grow into teenagers and adults, their risk for getting social phobia increases dramatically. Also, studies have shown that it may also have something to do with the section of your brain that controls fear, which is also known as the amygdala, something you hear me talk about in a lot of videos. Through CAT scans, doctors have found that people with this disorder have an excess amount of activity in the amygdala and too little in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. The most common group that people looking for social anxiety help fall into is the second one. Traumas like abuse, rape, and other experiences can develop into social anxiety to include even post-traumatic shock disorder, which can attack any person at any time in their lives. It may manifest itself many years later, even after the trauma has since been apparently forgotten. Though there are many causes of social anxiety phobias, the bottom line is that the result is an unnatural fear of social interaction and a lowered self-esteem that can not only hinder a person's ability to function in everyday situations, but in some cases hinder the person's ability to simply live a normal existence outside of their home. How social media affects your social anxiety levels. This is another one of my favorite quotes. Confront your problems. Don't tweet them. There isn't a single aspect of life that anxiety disorders won't affect, even if it's the most subtle of ways. When it comes to the things that take up most of our time every day, like work and personal relationships, we sometimes feel like we stand no chance against anxiety. Do you feel that way? And though we may not always realize it, social media plays a huge role in our everyday life, and it's certainly something that influences our mental health as well. People between the ages of 18 and 36 spend almost 18 hours a day using different types of social media. More specifically, we spend more than 3 hours a day just on our mobile phones, texting, video chatting, and browsing the web. Here are the 7 negative impacts that show how social media is affecting your social anxiety levels. Number 1, it makes you compare yourself to others. When you hop on your laptop on a Sunday morning and see all the fun, upbeat things people have been up to, you suddenly feel crappy about your low-key night in. Social media has people comparing themselves. As soon as we fall into that trap, our anxiety levels shoot up and we suddenly feel wildly insecure about our lifestyle. Number 2, it makes you feel like you're not accomplishing enough. People tend to overshare on social media, especially when it comes to their achievements. They love to announce their latest job promotion or engagement, although I hardly think that counts as an accomplishment. Quite frankly, it gets a little bit annoying. It's also potentially harmful to people with anxiety, since the very nature of anxiety gathers information like this and runs wild with it, convincing you that there are so many things you're failing at in your life. Number 3, it makes you feel as if you have poor social skills. As someone with a past with GAD and health anxiety myself, one of the things that plagued me when I was on Twitter was how socially adept all of these people are at communicating with each other. They're all so witty and friendly, yet I was tiring myself out just trying to deconstruct what it means when someone I respect likes one of my tweets. Let me tell you, it was exhausting. Number 4, you don't believe in yourself as much. When people start to compare themselves to what they see on social media, we get so caught up in what other people appear like online that it sends us into a cloud of doubt about who we are and what we're passionate about. We second guess all the things about ourselves we once knew to be true. Any normal person would call it jealousy or insecurity, but it's much more burdensome to someone with anxiety. It eats away at us for days until much of our self-confidence has left the building. Number 5, it can make your struggles with your body image worse. There is a strong correlation between anxiety, depression, and negative body images. It's not uncommon for anxious adults to also worry incessantly about what their body looks like or whether they're thin enough to be accepted by society. You only exacerbate their insecurities by constantly flipping through pictures of pretty people on social media who have probably used some kind of filter to put forth the absolute best image of themselves. If you spend too much time glued to Instagram, especially celebrity Instagrammers, which are chock full of Photoshop, you're likely to become anxious. Number 6, it makes you spend less time with people who actually care about you. You may think you're more in touch with the world around you by being highly active on social media, but the opposite is actually true. Studies have shown that the more people use Facebook, the more likely they are to feel unhappy, and lonely. Number 7, you focus less on yourself and your needs. If you really think about it, you probably spend most of your time on other people's profiles when you're mucking around social media platforms. That means you're devoting a lot of your time and effort to their interests, their hobbies, and their lives in general, and leaving yourself neglected. How to use social media to help with anxiety. Let's identify the exceptions to social media though. A group such as the Anxiety Guy Facebook page, which doesn't allow members to be consumed in a constant state of self victimization, is a good thing. Groups such as this one create a sense of momentum with the community, and successes can be shared and built upon. Consider yourself lucky to find groups such as this one, because they are rare. People with anxiety need all the self care that they can get. So shut your laptop, leave the house, and do things you know will help you feel better starting today. Does social anxiety lead to depression? A defined number of people sometimes experience having a hard time in trying to interact with others. Shyness, isolation, and lack of interest prevent people from having good interactions with other people. This is felt by certain individuals and gets to a certain point that is constantly just hard to manage. These are people suffering from a specific type of anxiety. Since anxiety is associated with fear and worry, social anxiety may also have the same characteristics or symptoms. People who are dealing with social anxiety feel that everyone around them is watching their every move, staring at them, and judging whatever they might be doing, and even judging them as individuals. Social anxiety equals paranoia. Socially anxious individuals cannot seem to relax and enjoy themselves while they are in public. These people think that other people are trying to evaluate them in some sort of way, being critical on what they do or say. People dealing with social anxiety feel the self consciousness and the idea of critical judgment while they are in other people's presence. It is considered hardly possible to just relax, focus, and go with the flow when one feels the anxiety and fear at the same time. Individuals dealing with this type of anxiety would probably like to be left alone. They seem to be more comfortable with doors closed behind them. Social anxiety is like paranoia, the feeling that other people are observing you, criticizing you, judging you always in a negative way. Authority figures are believed to be the worst type of people that socially anxious individuals can encounter. Supervisors and bosses from their work, and also those who seem better than them can make them feel a higher sense of anxiety, fear, and worry. Keeping your social anxiety to yourself. It is a known fact that not all people are aware of this specific type of anxiety disorder. Some people get diagnosed as having schizophrenia, manic depression, panic disorders, personality disorders, or even clinical depression. All of these are just misdiagnoses that may be more damaging to the person with social anxiety. Considering this situation, not all people with social anxiety know that they have such a disorder, since this type of disorder is not generally discussed in the media. Therefore, they just tend to keep it to themselves, thinking that they are the only ones dealing with this kind of anxiety. Due to this, socially anxious people tend to feel the surge of depression. They do not talk to other people regarding their problems, their feelings, and their emotions. Everything seems to be negative in some way, and all their thoughts are regarded as irrational. Here are the 5 best ways to beat social anxiety. Number 1, practice proper breathing techniques. Breathing deeply just before social situations that trigger anxiety can be helpful. It is also important to practice deep breathing and other breathing techniques on a daily basis, and not just during social anxiety causing events. Daily practice will cause deep breathing to become automatic. Subsequently, the people that don't hyper focus on breathing can instead pay attention to conversations. Number two, begin indulging yourself with self help books and manuals. Self help books and the End the Anxiety program are a great way to beat social anxiety on your own. They often act as a supplement to medications and other kinds of coaching and therapy. Number three, create and expose yourself to a hierarchy of fears. This exercise involves writing down a list of all the behaviors and things that trigger social anxiety in the order of intensity levels. Then carry out the behavior which is the easiest to do and which causes the least amount of anxiety. Once you have mastered the behavior and eliminated associated social anxiety, move to the next easiest anxiety triggering behavior. Continue moving up the list till you have gained control over all your behaviors. Number four, have a rational outlook and objective goals. Fearful thoughts tend to fuel the associated social anxiety and also weaken the resultant performance at any event. Hence, try and avoid unrealistic negative or positive thoughts and keep a rational outlook to social situations so that you can once and for all beat social anxiety. For example, negatively thinking that your performance in a play will be abysmal is unrealistic and irrational if your acting has been appreciated in the past. If you have prepared well, then the rational thoughts should be, I will try my best. Also, positively thinking that the girl you like will say yes to a date is unrealistic. The rational thought in this case would be, she might say yes. Remember, people with social anxiety often tend to discard their work as not being good enough because anxiousness can discount positive feelings about self and instill unwarranted doubts. Creating objective behavior goals can help avoid this. Objective behaviors are those which can be noticed and observed by all. It is not dependent on whether you are sweating, nervous, or blushing, etc., or the reaction of others to your behavior. The objective is only to carry out the specific behavior. For example, if you have to say 3 lines, then the objective is to say 3 lines. That's observable. Engaging in objective behaviors can help beat social anxiety. Number 5. Reach out to a coach or a mentor. If social anxiety is preventing you from living a healthy and fruitful daily life, and if all your ways employed by you do not help to beat social anxiety, then it's best to consult a mentor, especially an anxiety disorder specialist who has been in your shoes. This is very important. One of the best professional therapies for social anxiety is cognitive behavioral therapy, which aims to change both cognition and behaviors. Here are the top 5 nootropics for your social anxiety. L-theanine. L-theanine is trusted by many people because it has mild side effects. It reduces tension and anxiety. It increases almost all the elements in your brain that make you happy, such as dopamine and serotonin. You must know that L-theanine has no effect on some people though, so try it and see if it works for you in conjunction with CBT and NLP. Magnesium. Magnesium is an essential part of the nervous system. It protects the brain and it keeps you from panicking. Taking magnesium helps you to relax and get rid of your anxiety. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a herb that protects your brain. It lessens stress and removes both your anxiety and insomnia. It is one of the cheapest nootropics and belongs to the Ayurveda medicines. Ayurveda medicines are an ancient set of medicines from India whose healing properties are still gaining believers these days. You have to take it every day for a whole month before it takes any effect, though. Now, warriors, I hope that this social anxiety audiobook has helped you gain some deeper insight into social anxiety. Remember, you're not alone. You're far from being alone. As well, you have all the resources within you, in your brain and in your nervous system, to create the change that you want. Don't ever allow anybody to tell you otherwise, my friends. I've seen incredible changes in people suffering from social anxiety simply by gaining a deeper understanding about social anxiety and in small baby steps beginning to challenge themselves on a daily basis. You can too. I believe in you. So listen to this audiobook a few times, get a deeper understanding of social anxiety, and I'll see you on the other side. Remember, you are more than anxiety. Love you.